Team, today we are interviewing Carr, covering topics from the controversies surrounding her frogs, to her cosplays, to her character shippings, to even her place in the alternative community. Is Caroline a poser? Well, today hopefully we look to answer some of these questions or add more nuance to the situations. Firstly, I'd just like to thank Caroline for coming on the channel to have this conversation in the first place, and also I'd just like to give a heads up to any of my viewers that are sound sensitive. Unfortunately, with the way I recorded Caroline's audio, it kind of sounds like a phone call, which is completely my fault and not hers. So to counteract this, if you find the audio too annoying, I've subtitled the whole video so you can watch it quietly or on mute if you want to. That being said, I hope you still watch it, as I think the conversation adds a lot of nuance to the controversies surrounding Caroline Carr. Let's roll on the interview, shall we? Hello, Caroline!
Hi, Carl!
Thank you for joining me today. I hope that we can have a fun, nuanced conversation about all of this, and it's an educational thing.
Me too.
So the first topic of conversation is the frog abuse accusations. For those that don't know, basically there was videos shared on TikTok about the way you handled your frogs. They were saying you should be wearing gloves instead. You know, and admittedly, eventually you did start wearing gloves, right? And then the other point people pointed out were you were using your frogs as circus animals or toys. Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, let's discuss that and break that one down, shall we?
I posted them online, and a lot of people go, "Oh my gosh, can you show us more of the frogs?" Like, it became an immediate, "Show the frogs, show the frogs, show the frogs." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, I was the frogs, like, here's the frogs. And then a lot of people had a problem with the fact that I had, like, acrylic nails, and I was holding them, like, I was, like, picking them up. And here's another thing. I had two frogs names, Atlas and Owen. Owen didn't like to be, like, handled as much. He didn't want to be, like, head and, like, moving his little arms. So he just chill. Atlas, on the other hand, didn't go fit. Like, he just sat there or whatever. And I would just would say, like, so many demands, you know, "Oh, do you this, how do you use the frogs, do this and that?" And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking it's like, it's fine. I'm not getting any bad feedback. I'm not having anybody, you know, say it's a bad thing. But all some of the videos, I had multiple videos go super viral. It is like, there's getting 50 million views, 80 million views, 80 million views, 60 million views. All of a sudden, I had just a horde of people like coming and be like, "Run, abuse, don't do this, do that." And I was like, okay. And at the time, I had a couple other mutuals who also had frogs and are doing very similar things, you know, they're putting them on their heads. And with this one creator, literally, like, the frog would, like, attack the finger, almost like deep throat it, and then they would, like, take it off, and it just, like, fall. But no one has ever, like, made any kind of video or anything, like, calling out that creator about something that I actually thought was, like, really weird.
I think you made a few valid points there. I think, like, one is, like, when you do content creation as a full-time job, right, and you notice something gets views, sometimes it's just about the excitement of interacting with your community and making content that you don't really think about the totality of your actions, right? You're kind of just like, "Oh, people love my frogs. I'm having a good time with my frogs." And it's almost like you keep doing that without thinking about the bigger picture. And that's not just a critique at, I think everybody falls into this. I think I make a lot of videos on subculture because subcultures get me a lot of views, and that's something I'm interested in. I can see how it descends into this thing where it does become the frogs are a prop. And also, like, secondly, the thing I kind of noticed with the frogs in general when I was just researching about this is, in popularity in recent years, they've become like a very popular pet to get. Even in the UK, they're like super easy to get. Like, I can go down to my local amphibians and reptile store and pick one up with like zero knowledge about them, which is like the reality of this. And I think you had them since you were like 20?
18, hence the 13.
People get these things basically without realizing all the things of how you meant to like look after them. And the way I see it is, though it's not the most ideal situation, and it is clear that you've taken the critiques on board, and it must have been a really overwhelming experience having millions of people being like, "Frog murderer," or like they were just saying all sorts of things. That's not beneficial to the conversation. What I think we can all learn from this is you're a big content creator, and through your frog content, it's probably also educated lots of other young kids who just got frogs as well without looking up how to look after them. And now they know the proper care, which I think is a really useful thing for everybody involved, really.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I think again, an 18-year-old, I was posting them. I guess in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking care of my frogs. I didn't assume that I had to educate people on basic care of animals. And I guess they would take that whatever I'm doing in my videos is what I'm doing 24/7. And that means that I am just the worst human that is like literally like dance froggy. Like,
Even though there have been critiques that, frogs are typically look at animals, not hold animals. I know that's up for debate because some people like, well, my frog likes it. It's not showing how you were with the animals 24/7. It's showing a 10-second clip where you were like, dance, frog, dance. Or like, they made it out you to be like this like weird circus master, which I don't think you are. Going on to like how you've taken this on board, like I said, I've seen you do videos where you wear the gloves. I also haven't seen you do a dancing frog video in ages. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think you do that anymore.
I was like 18, 19. I haven't done it since I was 19. I have done that years.
You've obviously learned, may have done the wrong things or whatever you want to describe it as, but you've learned. And, you've got this big platform, so you've probably helped educate lots of other people who were like, oh, I didn't know that either, because like I said, frogs have become this very popular creature to own. So I think it can be a real good educational tool for all. Like, I don't think it has to be this like horrible, heinous thing of Caroline Carr, Frog Killer 9000. And I'm sorry if someone clips that. I don't want that to be taken out of context, but it's almost like there's so much nuance to this conversation.
I totally agree. And after that whole debacle, I didn't want to post them anymore. Because again, I was only posting them because I had so many requests to them to the frogs, and the frogs. That's all I got. So I'm like, okay, y'all want to see the frogs. So I did it for the people asking to see them. And then after so many people, like hundreds of thousands of people for months, I'm talking maybe a year, I'm showing you the frogs, I'm holding the gloves, and then it was just people were just like, okay, don't show them. I was like, okay, I'm not showing them anymore. I'm done. I want to I'm focusing on music anyways in my 20s. I'm done. I'm just not going to show them. And then it's like, well, they're fucking dead. I'm like,
when I first started researching about all of this and I saw all of the critiques, it almost seemed like this was happening like the other day. Like, this is a really recent thing. But it's almost like all the criticism and the hate train piles up and makes it all seem like it's a present day thing, whereas you did this years ago and you've addressed it, and you're definitely addressing it now. The way I see it, it's just a learning exercise for all, and it seems like you've taken it all on board from what I've seen and also just from this conversation, right? So
yeah. And I have a lot of people basically it went from people caring about the health of the frogs, people wanting me to do better, to I hope your dogs die in a lesson type thing. That's a lot of the comments I used to get. And that was when I was 18. I'm 22 now. They're still no what's alive, and they're doing good.
Well, I'm glad they're doing good and they're just living their normal frog life instead of being internet celebrities. That's probably best scenario.
Yeah.
Thank you for just being so open and happy to talk about that. I appreciate that.
Going. Yeah.
Okay, so topic 2, we're going to be talking about the inappropriate cosplay. And again, just for context for everybody listening, was it a My Hero Academia cosplay?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry, I'm not too familiar with the anime. I watched like one episode and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And basically, you dressed up as a character, and it was like the song lyrics or something was that had adult connotations, basically, and people critiqued you for that.
I would like to say, like, when I did that cosplay, I was 19. I really liked the character design. I hadn't really watched like a ton of that anime at the time, which is like super close with me. And I wanted to do the character, and people who I watched, again, I'm a kid. I was a kid, and I was like trying to be like
the people you see online, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. I was like, okay, well, I'm watching these other people do this Mina Ashida cosplay. I'm watching what they use and what audios they use and how they're acting. And I fell into the trap of a lot of cosplayers who do sexualize every character they do. They're probably little smaller accounts where they're not going to get like the backlash that I would. But in my mind, I wasn't thinking about, well, this isn't me not thinking. I wasn't thinking about my following and how big it is. They don't really think about it like that. If I think about it too much, I become way too paranoid to do anything online, and so I don't think about it. But I just did the cosplay, wasn't thinking, and I wasn't trying to sexualize a minor. that I did, and I have apologized.
You've made such a fair and honest observation there. Like you say you didn't think, but it's almost like we've literally watched you grow up lifetime. Like you said, you became a big social media creator very young. And this isn't to discredit young people at all. It's just the opposite. It's more in their defense. But I think when we're younger, or at least in my case, and it sounds like in your case, we don't always think about the totality of our actions. We're more like we see someone do something online, and it's almost like how I viewed TV when I was younger. I'd see someone do something on TV and I was like, well, if it's on TV, then it must be cool. It must be okay. So it's okay to do it. And it's only as we get older and like society progresses and we're having more open conversation, we're like, well, actually, that was really weird. I should never have condoned that. And it's great to hear you recognizing now as you've gotten older to reflect on your time in the public eye and be like, yeah, I'd never do that anymore.
Jesus Christ, no.
Which I think will be like almost like the ongoing common theme in our conversation, which I don't think is a bad thing, but it's almost just showing you have grown up and the things you did when you were younger don't demonstrate or don't resonate with you now, which is totally okay. And in fact, we encourage that. We want people to grow and learn through all of this. Yeah.
That's totally right, Joel.
So now we're going to be discussing the problematic character shipping, if that's okay. Basically, just to give everybody context, it was dressed up as a character called Vanellope, is it, from the Wreck-It Ralph?
Vanellope, yeah.
You shipped them with Ralph, who looks like a grown man. I couldn't find his exact age, but bro's a big guy. Like, you can tell he works out.
I watched the video that you made, and I was like, you posted that TikTok. I was like, oh, Jesus, fuck, I posted one of the fuck, because I was like 16. Well, I was 16, maybe turned 17. I was 16 or 17. Because I had a purple dye. That's why I remember timelines of my age. But I was like, oh, I was a minor then. Why didn't I make that video? I don't remember I made that video. And I was just like, what the fuck? That's so embarrassing. Why the fuck would I do that? Like, to me, I was like in shock. So I get it. I don't condone that. That's fucking weird. But I was a minor. I was, probably talking to older men I shouldn't have been talking to, and I didn't see it as a problem at all. The fuck it is. I would not want anyone to associate 16-year-old me and her actions specifically with anything that I stand for now. No.
I think that's a really valid critique. Honestly, I think it's so good that you're adding your age to this conversation, because it's like, I didn't realize you were that young. I thought you were doing this at 20. I can't lie. So the fact that you're giving us like an actual timeline is so useful. Yeah, 16, you're a minor. And like you said, especially in like the cosplay fandom, it's like notorious for having quite a lot of creepy guys, right? So, if you've got guys, telling you your cosplays are cool and they're also grown up adult weirdos, heinous weirdos, it normalizes it, so you further perpetuate the things that get you attention, and obviously that's not good. But I think especially as a young mind, you don't always see the totality of what's going on, and it's almost like I see it a lot with like young fans in general. I think their intentions are always in the right place. They're very excited, they want to talk about their passions, which at face value is good, because that's a good emotion, right? You're excited and you want to champion that. I think sometimes they direct their energy in the wrong way, and as we get older, we're like, oh yeah, why were we doing that? And that's how I relate it to this conversation, because it's like, as you've gotten older, you're like, I would never ship a child with an adult. But as a child myself at the time, it's almost like you want to do it because think it's okay, and you think it's mature, you think it's grown up. Or there's a whole host of reasons, right? It's not just a simple answer.
Right. No, you're totally right. It's crazy when you're very developed as an adult and you're like, oh Jesus, what the fuck was I doing as a kid?
This is the thing. What we're seeing with like your wave of content creator who have grown up on the internet with a following is we're seeing you grow up lifetime. And I luckily wasn't a public figure when I was a kid, because if I was there, I've made tons of mistakes as a kid just because you don't critically think. And I think this is, what we're seeing with this is you, a young person that got shoved into the spotlight. But now, because you are this huge content creator, people will go back and look at all of your actions and analyze them, which must be terrifyingly intense, because it makes you think, what did I do like 6 years ago?
Exactly true. And it's like a lot of people regarding like the way, I changed my style and this and that, a lot of people will be like, well, you didn't look like that 3 years ago. I'm like, no fucking shit, who did? Like, I was a kid. So of course I don't look the same as a 22-year-old now. Like, that's insane, but it's because I grew up on the internet. Like you said, you thought I was a lot older than I was.
Well, I think this naturally brings us on to our next point, which is like the accusations of being a poser.
Well, a lot of people were online recently trying to say that that I think I'm punk. I feel like Avril Lavigne as I'm saying this. I literally never ever said I was punk. Just because like I wear studded vests doesn't mean I'm fucking punk. Like I consider myself alternative. I like to look different all the time. I'll be in full like clown makeup on stage. Like I don't have a specific like aesthetic I'm trying to fit into. The thing that I would probably relate to the most would be goth, just because I listen to a lot of goth music. I tend to do pretty heavy goth makeup whenever I go out. But I never said I was punk. The reason that started, I think, is this random, I don't know who it is, some creator of this video being like, creators are so punk until it comes to supporting Palestine, blah, 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 blah. And then a whole bunch of people were tagging me. And I was like, oh, that's like me. I never said that. And then it just had this outpour of people coming to my comment section being like, why don't you support Palestine? And da, da, da. I was like, I do. And post about it every day, but I try to post on my story. I have a link in my bio. Then I posted the fucking Cherry Dome song, and everyone said being like, that's a punk song. That's a punk song. It's not even like, they're always just never a punk band. They've always just said they're a rock and roll. They're just a girl rock and roll band. That's all they ever said. But then a whole bunch of people said, well, that's a punk song, and they're trying to be a punk. It's your fucking mom. I was like, cool, I don't think I am. That's not a punk song, but okay.
Yeah, I think you made a really valid point there. I think also, like I said, you're growing up in this new era of being alternative, and I suppose because of that, with apps like TikTok, where it's very much how you look over what you're saying, just because it's a visual based app, right? I think people see you doing videos where you look alternative and it gets lots of likes, but you're not talking about the nuances of subculture, because why would you? You're doing a TikTok. I think because of that and the combination of those factors, people are very quick to be like, poser, which it's a shame because it shuts down conversation, right?
I want to talk about this because I haven't addressed it. And it's something that I don't know if you saw. I don't know how far in your research you got looking at me, but there was this girl who made this video about me that got like 4 million views recently, where they talked outside, I don't know their pronouns, but they basically were saying that they met me at one of my shows where I was headlining. They're the state up on band, and they basically said that I was rude as fuck to them in the bathroom, and it's so weird, but it's super, super important that I tell you this because it's Jesus fuck. They basically said that I was in the bathroom with them, and they were wearing this merch from a golf club that I used to go to. I don't go there anymore because of all this controversy. I just can't do it. But basically, it's a golf club called The Church. And she basically said that I went up to her that you go to the church, and basically was saying that I was making her feel unwelcome in the alternative community or this or that, and that like she was trying to prove that she had been there a whole bunch. And even though I'd only been there a couple times, because yes, I've only been there a couple times because I'm 22 and I haven't been to this club that many times. But all I said to her was, oh, I'm going to church, man, just getting going. But anyways, this whole debate started that I am a poser, and I'm also somebody who's like bullying people in the alternative community. That's something I feel a lot, and that I make people feel unwelcome in this space. And that's farther than the truth.
When I hear a story about someone being rude, I don't really ever pay attention because I'm just like, they're probably just like having a rough day, come on. Or you've just completely misinferred what they meant, which sounds like what's happened in your case. They've misinferred it and they've changed, or how it seemed to them is completely different from your intentions, which I think is tough being a content creator. And this almost applies to this whole conversation. It's like your intentions, so you have intentions, whether that be with your frogs or your cosplays, whatever, and then it's how it's inferred by the public. And because you've got this huge platform, there's like thousands of ways people can infer your content, and that must be tough trying to control that and navigating that sphere. Like that's one hell of a burden to bear.
I was homeschooled, and I was very Christian conservative, like Republican, like, and why I was a Republican, my parents were, but I grew up very, very, like, I didn't have internet, I didn't have much, but whenever I finally got on the internet, in my mind, I guess I thought that the internet was a more accepting space. Obviously, I said wrong, because I was looking for something that was different than my own family, and, like, at least my parents anyways, because they're always, you know, don't do this, don't do that. So I went on the internet looking for a space that would be very accepting and like, maybe understanding more, but then getting extreme, like, backlash and feeling like almost like having, you know, people could tell you don't do this and that, like over the smallest things. Even it just makes me kind of like pull back into my shell, because it just feels like I know it's a good time.
I think that's a really good positive thing you've identified there. It's like when you're like a young alternative person, maybe you don't really resonate with your legal guardians that well. That just sense and urge of wanting to find a space that you feel understood and accepted in. And it's almost like we've seen you lifetime go through the different spaces to find the one where you can authentically present yourself. And you know, that seems like the one you're doing now with your music, and you've got like this cool alternative look going on, and you've got the clown stuff, which I think is really interesting. So it seems like you're finding the things that resonate with you now.
And that all kind of been correlated with moving out at 18. I moved out at 18 and I started kind of being able to experiment with myself, getting tattoos. That's something I always wanted to do. And of course it takes a while because I can't go from looking like, you know, super more conservative looking, that couldn't show my shoulders and type in, and then all of a sudden, you know, looking like I do now. Like, that's not possible in one fucking month. Like, that takes a while, and you have to find your style.
This is like the more style that actually resonates with you now, and this is one you'll probably keep going forwards. So it doesn't make you a poser at all. It shows the very real journey of, you know, getting to move out and having your independence and finally getting to express yourself authentically, which I think is an amazing thing that we should champion. And I think through this conversation, it kind of shows the nuance. So you shouldn't be being called a poser. You should be called a young person that had to present by their parents' rules, and now you have your own freedom, and you're enjoying that freedom, and you're trying out different things that work and resonate with you.
I think it's important, and I hope that some like younger people are able to take like inspiration from that and not like feel bad about their like journey with their, you know, music taste and their fashion.
So I suppose also with the ties in with being called a poser, even though we kind of quite deeply discussed now that you're not part of the punk movement really, you're in the alternative rocky vibe, and all the aesthetics vaguely blur into one. So I understand the confusion if you've never outwardly said, I'm not a punk or I'm not a goth or whatever. I suppose because people were associating you with the punk movement or the goth movement, which are very DIY ethos, you know, do it yourself, make your own clothes or whatever, or buy from independent shops, people were very quick to critique you on the fact that you promoted things on the TikTok shop. Like, how do you feel about that?
I haven't used TikTok shop all that much, and I mostly just did it because I wanted free shit. I just wanted like air purifier. I have like so many cops, and I need an air purifier. Like, I wanted a cute little set of nosing or a pair of like the menu shoes. I started TikTok Shop because ever since TikTok Shop opened, it caused a huge crash in brands that will like, you know, sponsor you and work with you because they could just they could be on TikTok Shop and it's cheaper for them, right? So that caused a huge imbalance that I wasn't making make money. And my management was like, hey, start TikTok Shop, maybe you can make some money there. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I don't try to buy from fast fashion brands necessarily, but people did talk about how which is actually a recent thing, which I didn't even realize. Do you know anything about the brand Dolls Kill?
Well, I've only heard very negative things about it in just my brief search up of the brand, yeah.
Yeah, so back in I think it was it 2020 or 2021? I don't know. Whenever all of the riots were happening, I don't know if you know anything about that. They basically had like supporting cops, and I don't know. It was a whole thing, and that's what really like started their downfall. But before any of that really happened, I had worked with the brand maybe a year earlier. They sent me like 3 articles of clothing for free with like essentially post with videos to be told to post. And I'm how old was I? 18. So 18, 19 at the time, I had posted in those things, and then a year later or so, the riots happened. Everyone's like, fuck Dolls Kill, fuck Dolls Kill. I didn't work with them after a lot. I had them and their other brands, Sugar Fears. I think they have a couple other brands that they're technically all together. Hit me up, asked to work with me. I was like, no. And I made a video being like, I've not supported Dolls Kill at all. And people were like, no, you have. And then I went back and I was like, oh shit, that was years ago. I didn't realize that I forgot that even happened. If I'm being completely honest, I like a stupid ass excuse. I just didn't work with them after all of their allegations and it was beforehand. I didn't realize any of the videos were still up without I even tagged them. I just like wore their shit while I was making a cosplay or some shit. So a lot of people were like, well, you support fast fashion, specifically because you did that. I was like, Jesus, fuck no. I wasn't trying to support them. If I knew that it was so off, which I didn't, I would have taken that shit down because I don't fucking support them. I literally had avoided working with them for years now because of that. And then also somebody was also saying that I support Shein because I bought Shein I didn't realize until after I read it that I bought Shein props from the fucking desk I think people are like, well, you're supporting them. I was like, well, I'm not technically giving them my money, but I didn't even know. But then I did a haul, like, oh, well, I found it at the thrift store. And whenever I was like, oh, yeah, and this is like a Shein top. Like, I realized that, but yeah, it is. And so it's just like crazy people being like, well, even if you buy from the thrift store, you're supporting them. And I'm like, then why is that going to them? Where do you draw the line here? It's very strange, but that's what a lot of like the poser accusations are coming in, like me supporting fast fashion. I have to make money too, and that's why I have the TikTok shop, but it's not making me that much money anyway. So I'll probably not going to do a ton of it in the future. But even if I do, it's because I want free shit. Because I would rather have free shit than pay for it. So,
and that's such a real, honest response. I think, like you said, these things happened when you were 18. You were working with Dolls Kill when you were 18.
1 point, yeah.
Yeah, so it almost shows like the reality of like, because I think when we're younger, we all dream of being someone of social status. So like being offered like free stuff, it all seems very exciting. It's like, oh, you get these brands for free, just wear them. I think most people would have said yes without thinking about the totality.
Yeah, because at the time there was none.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Like, I think your experience on the internet shows how like 90% of people's experience on the internet would go. I should make it clear, just through me and myself and Caroline having this conversation, it's not me saying, I forgive you, Caroline, I speak on behalf of everyone. I'm not ever trying to raise my voice above anyone. That would be so entitled. The aim of this conversation is just to show the nuance of it and to show like the humanity behind it, of how someone can fall into these pitfalls, can fall into these things that would no longer represent them, and it can basically kind of just be summarized to, we're seeing someone grow up lifetime on the internet. I'm genuinely so grateful that, you know, you saw the criticisms and you thought, I actually want to talk about it myself. And I think that shows a great example for everybody, and hopefully everyone now can clearly see the nuance in this conversation of, you were this content creator that got big at very young, and unfortunately a lot of the decisions you made then no longer represent you in totality now.
I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this. I was going to try to make a video myself, like addressing it. That honestly sounded like the most treacherous, awful fucking task I could do, just facing a camera talking about all this myself. So it means a lot to me that you reached out after, you know, we talked a little bit over text. In my head, when I first saw your thumbnail and how I thought that was going to go, I was like, wait, it's fine. But it was, I really, really appreciated how you made that video. And, you know, we were talking about being responsible with our audience and this and that. And I want to thank you for being responsible with, you know, with that forum. I actually, as much as I'm trying to be responsible with mine now, I really appreciate you being responsible with it.
I'm genuinely very glad that you were so happy to discuss it all, so thank you. And I do wish you all the best with your music career. Is there anything you wish to plug?
Go follow me and stream me on Spotify at Carr with 2 R's. And yeah.
So thank you very much for Caroline being in my video. Hopefully it adds more nuance to the conversation. Please feel free to comment down below in the comment section below about this and we can get a conversation going. Hopefully it makes you see a different side to Caroline, and it's not me, like I said, trying to speak over people and be like, she's okay or whatever. It just shows the nuance and the reality to these conversations. So with that, remain thoughtful and kind, and let's have a discussion. There'll be another video essay here if you want to watch another one of my videos. And I shall see you in the next video. Okay, bye.